would be all right. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to the Press Onion Podcast. We're doing episode 3 today. We got 2 special guests, one a returning guest. We got my guy Todd
What's
back. We got Chris coming in for the first time.
What's happening, y'all?
Today we're gonna talk about, is marriage overrated? And so both fellas are married or been married. I haven't been married, so I'm the outcast. Don't give my single opinion on stuff. First thing we want to go straight into it, fellas. What did you see marriage as while you was growing up as a kid?
I'll let you hit it first.
Well, I guess just as a child, you just don't recognize it as being like marriage. It's like mom and dad. It was nothing that was a big deal. As far as you seeing, you just see mom and dad back together, and that was it. It was nothing like it was all, hunky-dory for me. But, it's not that they weren't happy.
Gotcha.
It's just, like they just showed their affection differently. So that's kind of like where I am in it.
How you looked at it, Todd?
I kind of the same way, really. Honestly, it's kind of look at it as just the norm. Like, if that's the environment that you grew up in, not everybody has, but like, if that's the environment you grew up in, that's the environment I grew up in. I had my parents around. It was mom, it was dad. Of course, at a younger age, really didn't look at marriage in any kind of way outside of like, that's just how it is. But I think kind of just growing over time, you kind of see that dynamic, especially when you start coming across people who don't necessarily have mom and dad both in their lives, or at least not in the same household. You start kind of realizing like, this is not necessarily the norm for everybody or whatever. And you kind of start figuring out why, what I'm saying? But for me, it was just the norm. And something that I think probably like you start kind of looking forward to in a sense, or you start, at least in my mind, I started thinking to myself like at a young age, like, oh, this is going to be my wife. Oh, this is going to be my wife. You know what I'm saying? Just because I saw that with my parents, and it was just like, your wife is the person that you live with, you have kids with. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, who going to be that person that I'm just going to just settle down with, have kids with, so that was it for me.
Well, I didn't grow up around marriage.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that.
And so, like, I see my grandparents' marriage. That was the first and really only one that I got to see, like, in depth.
Right.
But I didn't think, like, I knew I wanted to be married. I used to think, like, white picket fence, have kids.
Right, make a dream.
And, yeah. And, and, like, girlfriends growing up, like, yo, like, yup, we're gonna be married.
Yep.
and so that was just a younger version of what I thought marriage was. I never thought about like bills or problems, like yeah. I was so cool, like I ain't gonna say just my grandparents hid that stuff from us.
Yeah.
But I just never seen like problems until like going further up, like late teens.
Yeah. But
early on, I just knew like, yo, like grandpa at work, grandma home cooking, my mama and them working, and they just, it was a whole family situation. Like I never realized that the problems that could potentially come with marriage, because I'm just thinking like, yo, it's all innocent. Like, everybody happy, kids having fun, and we was having fun. Like, it never missed a beat.
But that's the facade that you get. Once, you get married, like, you keep your problems within, confined in, like, your bedroom.
Right.
Oh, you're right. Listen, because my mom tell me stories of her hearing my grandparents fuss at night.
Mm-hmm.
Or, complain, like, not really fussing, but having conversations in the bedroom outside of the kids, seeing, like, they kept that stuff from us. Yeah. Or from my mother and her siblings. And so, like, even now, like, relationship, I prefer to fuss when the kid's not around.
Yeah.
Or just not really say fuss, but bring up disagreements.
Have those discussions, yeah. I mean, I think part of it is too, like, I mean, I've seen like where parents are arguing about stuff that probably should be private in front of kids and stuff like that, but it's all about too, like, I think where you are at that point in your life too. Like, as a kid, if I heard my parents arguing about bills and all that kind of stuff, I didn't have no bills. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I might have heard them arguing about it and stuff, but I really wouldn't have been able to relate to it too much. It probably might have been something that kind of came back to recollection like later on in life, like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when my parents went through this or something like that, but like when you're younger, like, I mean, I remember when I was younger, like, my parents, like, might get in a disagreement or something, or like we, like, as me, my brother, and my sister, like, we might be driving my mom crazy or something, and she just like, you know what? I done just had it with everybody. I'm leaving. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I used to be like, why? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't leave. Like, this your family and stuff. She was just joking. Like, she literally would play us, like, pack a bag, hide off in the corner somewhere and stuff like that. And it kind of used to be like joke on us at the end of the day. But, like, when it came down to that stuff, I didn't understand it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care how bad we are. You know what I'm saying? I don't care, like, if y'all get into an argument, like, why would you even think about that? Like, you know what I'm saying? But I honestly, I didn't understand it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't at that point in my life. And then,
like the older you get.
Yeah, and as you get older, I mean, even just with a girlfriend, like, you get in an argument and be like, bro, I'm done. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then you start kind of getting it like, oh, I can see why, like, you know what I'm saying? I can see why somebody would want to leave. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, off of just even little simple stuff. You can start getting it. But, like, I think that's part of it. Like, but it's also like when you say keeping it private, it's kind of like when people say like keep your relationship off of social media and all that kind of stuff,
Because there's vultures out there.
Yeah, it's vultures out there, but also too it's just something. Anything personal in any relationship, honestly, should be hashed out with you and that person in a relationship. So it's like if you mom and dad or whatever, like. Best bet is not to do it in front of the kids or anybody for that matter. Take it to the bedroom or like whenever you got the private time, kind of talk about it or whatever. But like I say, also even as a child, like when you hear that kind of stuff, you probably just ain't really relating.
Okay, so as you became an adult, how did that perception change on marriage? So like once you realized what marriage really was, did you shy away from it? Did you more like embrace it, or did it just make you say, you know what, maybe I need to get more things in order before I get married?
Well, I'll speak on my behalf. Like, I kind of went. For me, I kind of jumped into adulthood first by me, being in management and working all the time, and I was making good money. And then I hit that plateau where everybody else is, coming out. So you go to high school, you graduate high school, you go to college, and you're broke. So I went to high school, went to work, and I was making money. Then I went broke.
Okay.
So then once I started getting myself back together, I'm like, and at that particular time, I had a girlfriend that was like just down for me. And I was just like, man, we can't even talk no more because I just felt like I wasn't man enough.
Oh, you know what? I went through that before.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm not man enough to be in a relationship. So then I started getting into this situation where, like I'm doing okay. I'm still not
where I want
to be, but I'm okay. And now I can start putting back some. So I think what happens is sometimes men come into a place where they feel like they want to get everything in order first, then say, okay, well, I got my stuff in order, and now I want to get married.
All right, I'm at that point in life.
Where you want to get married?
No.
Oh,
Where
that's new for me.
No, where I'm like finally getting to the point where I got myself in order.
Yeah.
So I can be that provider.
Yeah.
You know.
What's funny about what you're saying though is just knowing you on a personal level. It's funny because I think a lot of people who see you and just kind of know about like certain things that you do and what you got going on would probably in their mind have already thought you already been ready. Like you already been at that point where you straight. But it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's not necessarily like it's not the same exact level for every single person. Like some people content with, 25, 30K a year. Like I'm sufficient enough to where like, but I know people who make even less than that, but literally like, save like almost half of that. Like I don't get it, but like there are people who really just are like very, very, very efficient with their money and stuff like that. So some people like literally could make like I say, 20, 25,000 a year and be in a good place and be like, yo, I can survive off of this and find somebody that I can be with, that I can marry, whatever the case may be, and match that or somewhere around it, and we'll be straight. And then there's other people who like, yo, I ain't in the place where I want to be until I'm making 100K. And when I get there, then that's when I'm like, and then it's not even always about money either. Sometimes a lot of times it's about money, because that kind of tells you in a sense, almost like it kind of tells you like social status. It kind of tells you like where you just kind of are like at a level in life to where like you're just stable and kind of feel like you can take care of yourself and maybe somebody else. But also it's about mental too. Like, are you in that place to where not only are you financially stable, but mentally stable enough to really deal with a relationship like that? Like, to where you ready to be with somebody. Like that,
But so basically, sometimes you look at it like, and sometimes it all goes to religion too. So it's like, okay, God, I'm trusting you, but let me continue doing this right here. So I trust you enough, but I still need to do this little thing right here in order to make sure that I'm good. Correct.
And I'm not at the point like in trusting God completely on marriage. And the reason I say that, I'm more, it's a sacrifice. And I have a saying that I don't want to be the daddy with the white New Balances on.
You don't want dad shoes.
Yeah, I don't want to be that dad.
Yeah.
And I get why some dads are that dad. Because they gotta, you gotta take care. Once you get married, you got a kid, or they got a kid, or y'all have kids.
Right.
You gotta take care of the kids.
Right.
You gotta take care of the wife.
Right.
You come last.
Right.
And in that sacrifice, I know what I like, and I don't want to make it where I get married, I sacrifice, and then I'm not happy because I can't do what I like or get what I like. In a sense.
Right.
Now, I'm gonna say over the last 3 years or so, I have sort of became non-materialistic in a way, like where I'm not really just spending money on things that I just personally like, and so I'm getting away from that part of it. But at the end of the day, I still think it's a sacrifice as a man. Like, you chasing dreams.
Yeah.
Yo, the bills. If something happened, you gotta put dreams on hold.
Yeah.
You gotta go and work a job you may not want to work. And I'm not saying that's a reason to stop from getting married, but you gotta think like sanity. Am I going to be happy doing what I don't want to do because I chose to get married? And then you bring those problems home. That's how I look at it.
I feel you. And I get that 100%. I think my perception of it is, it also depends on who you marry. And I'm gonna say this: the reason why I say that is Veronica, my wife. You know, we've been together now for 4 years or whatever, and we both have been in situations like at our jobs where we kind of get to points like, I don't know, you know, if I want to continue on with this, you know, and real talk, just being 100% real. There was one time I went and I was talking to her, and it was actually during a time we both were kind of like, oh man, like I don't know about this job or whatever. Both kind of in that bad space. But I went to her and I was just like, I just don't know, like if I'm gonna keep doing this or if I want to keep doing it. And what tripped me out was her response. She was just like, okay, so what's the plan? Like, you know,
what's next?
What's next? Like, you know, what you gonna do or whatever? Like, and she was, you know, kind of shooting out some ideas to me, stuff that she knows that I like to do, not necessarily things that I told her like I wanted to like venture off into as a career or anything. But she just kind of started being like, you know, well, you could probably do this to make some extra money or this and this and that, you know, and it's just like, wow, like you in a bad spot too, where you want to leave as well, but you would put that on hold, like to make sure like my sanity is straight, like, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like, her response just kind of tripped me out because from what, I don't say I know a lot of women like this, but like, from my perception of what, especially like our women want, in my mind, I'm thinking like, you know, the response is like, well, no, like, you know, I don't like my job right now either, you know, and if I leave my job, you gotta be.
So it's a selfish situation, like,
sometimes marriage is selfish though. Sometimes marriage is selfish, and to a point to where one of the spouses has to be kind of selfish in order to like make the other happy, per se. So like
it goes back to sacrifice.
Yeah, it's the sacrifice. So you know, like now I'm the type where I didn't want to wear the dad shoes either, but I get it. So that means that I'm just gonna kind of work harder on the back end to make sure that I don't have to have the dad shoes. But in that working harder, that means that's more time away.
Oh yeah.
Or that's, you know, that you're pulling away. You're pulling. So, you know, so somebody's still gonna be unhappy.
Correct. Even if the finances are there.
Because
if you got, I'm gonna just say, I know for me, tax season.
Yeah.
I ain't spending no time with nobody. You know, and
but that's the season.
Yeah, but see, they gotta buy in.
But going into the relationship, ain't nothing changed on your end.
Correct.
You going in, hey, listen, from April, what is it?
January to
April, you know that from January to April, it's grind time.
Yeah.
It's the only time that I really work for real. So in these months right here, this is the only time I work. So either you're gonna buy in or you're gonna buy out. So by them buying in, by them saying I'm all in, they know that January, February, March, April, I can't expect much.
Yeah.
But in May.
And you're right. Listen, what I tell them, 3 to 4 months, let me handle me.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, the other 8 months,
you're gonna be straight.
Whatever we want to
do,
we could go and do. And some get it in the past, and then it was more like it became selfish. Like, say Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is an important day, but how I feel.
It's sacrificial though. It's a man-made day.
It's man-made, but at the end of the day, I'll be like, if it's on a weekday, leave me alone.
Probably ain't happening.
Let me work. Because the money we gonna spend on Valentine's Day, I could probably make 4 times that day alone just working. Yeah. And what's a day? Like, what's significant of that one day when I just said like, 8 months. Whatever you want to do, we want to go somewhere, we can go and do that. Yeah. And then I'm telling you, I used to run across, like, women that just didn't understand it until the last one. She understands it.
Yeah.
And that's why, in the beginning, I know it's difficult.
Yeah.
Because you want time, and it used to be where she would just say late, she'd come in the office, just be in there watching me.
Right. I mean,
and I'd be like, yo, just go to sleep. I'm not leaving here until I'm falling asleep.
Was she waiting for you to get done, or she was
Yes, but it would make you
mess up.
No, it ain't gonna mess up, but it would make you be like,
they just start driving you crazy.
Yeah, driving crazy. They just watching you working.
Yeah.
And so once it became established, you know what? He gonna come to sleep when he ready to go to sleep anyway.
Yeah.
So, and it became cool, and they understood the business side of dating me.
Yeah.
Versus I understand an 8 to 5 guy, he may have more time than I can give, that he can give more time than I can give.
Yeah.
I can give you time.
Yeah.
Only
at
thing I can say,
time frame.
I'm more of a presence guy.
Yeah.
And most females, they can say, oh yeah, I'm for the, just being there, yada yada. But when
you're not there,
yeah,
it's a problem. Even if the money's there,
yeah,
just say, a free day. I had to learn how to take weekends off, Sundays off during tax season.
Yeah.
I used to run every day.
Yeah.
And then maybe the last 2 years, I started taking Sundays off, doing taxes just to slow up and just be a family guy.
Mm.
Hey, let's go do something, or let's just cook at the house. And it became better, but it's just, women want certain things. Mm-hmm. And if you're chasing certain things to provide for them, per se, it's hard, but it's all about, do she see long term or short term?
Yeah. I think it kind of goes back to what Chris was talking about, buying in, with you coming in, they you already know what you got going on, so it's are you gonna buy into it or not? But I think when it comes to marriage, just in general, you have to buy into the whole idea of marriage, just in general, because even though you got that going on, let's say you didn't have that going on,
mm-hmm.
and you got married, and eventually that came up. And it was it became a lucrative thing. It was I'm really making bank off of this. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have a good life based off of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you kind of buy in, you already bought into the marriage. And so it's kind of like you said, you understand an 8 to 5 guy might have more time. I wouldn't even necessarily say that. They may have more time at the end of this day and this day and this day.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're really looking at it, you working, like you say, January to April. And the rest of the time, you mean to tell me the rest of the time we can travel, we can do I'm going to be able to be around you, literally probably for about a good 8 months strong, and
or at least 5.
Yeah, or at least 5, but a good amount of time, without having to worry about you working.
Right.
The thing is, man, a lot of times we look at the measure of a man by his work. You see what I'm saying? And what he's doing, and it's you can respect a man making $100K working, but I can respect a man as well making, again, 18, 20K as well working.
But I don't even care about.
But he's saving. He's saving 10.
Right. And
but
this is working.
About the money.
No, it's about to me, it's about the work. To see if you putting that work, if you putting work in, if you going out, you grinding, doing something to better yourself, to better your life, all that kind of stuff. This is kind of to me, that makes sense. Now going back to what I was talking about, with my wife, I was so shocked by that, but at the same time, it's not I'm and of course I never left. I'm still doing what I do, but it's I'm not a repeat offender of that. So it's to me, it would be different if it's yo, I can't do this. And it's all right, well, I support you in that. And then I dip. Mm-hmm. And then I'm at another job for however long. And then I turn around and say, yo, I can't do this. And then I dip. You know what I'm saying?
It can't be repetitive.
Yeah, now that type of stuff is kind of
you can't.
All right, now I'm starting to see a pattern. But it's to have somebody kind of holding you down, when you get to that point, to me, the answer was shocking, but I think a big part of it was because if he's saying this, like if he's at this point, he really must be like ready to, because he doesn't do this. Like this isn't his character to just want to up and just go, you know. And so you kind of got to look at that stuff too. But it's like when you go into a marriage, you have to buy in period to the marriage, and it's gonna come back to that sacrifice every single time, because there's always gonna be something you sacrifice, whether it's small or whether it's large. You always gonna be sacrificing somewhere along the way. So
back to what you were saying too. So, what you have to really going in is understand the person's love language.
Okay.
So, and love language plays a big part in the marriage. So.
Oh, for the record, love language. What's yours?
Mine is touch.
Touch. Okay, that's new. What's yours, Ty?
I'm all 5, man.
He said he all 5. I was 2. I had quality time was my second one, and the first one was man, what's the one when you're doing for others?
No. So it's not words of affirmation.
It was, man, we just talked about this the last podcast. I'm quality time, and the other one was acts of kindness.
Acts of kindness.
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm more of an acts of kindness guy. Like, I'm not a toucher. I'm not gonna be saying I love yous or none of that kind of stuff. I'm more like, yo, like if I'll just say this. I'm more like, we set a goal, I'm attaining the goal for you. You want to go, you want something done, I can do that.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe I may not do it, but I can get whatever you saying you need, I can get it done. But I'm not going to be touchy-feely.
Yeah. I'm
not going to be, oh, I love you, you're so beautiful. Those things, see, me, it's more like you may come home, and your hair may be done, and I may be like, oh, yeah, the hair done, huh? That's my way of saying, I see you, I like it.
But, so, that's what you give off, but what is it that you like to, what is it that you receive? Like, which love language is it that you like to receive?
Quality time.
Okay.
I like quality time.
So here's the crazy thing. So, quality time and, it's 2 of them. I can't even think of the other.
Just had it pulled up. You got quality time, acts of service, physical touch, gifts, and words of affirmation.
So quality time and touch.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I used to think they the same thing. You know, like before I knew what they were, I used to think.
Okay, I got you, man.
My quality time.
I used to think that they were the same thing. Like, you know, because it's just like, okay, you know, you out here and you doing your thing, and then it's like, okay, well, you coming through?
Yeah. If we spend time together,
you coming through?
We touching.
You know what I'm saying? So, I didn't really think that they were like 2 separate things.
Yeah.
And you know, like, so basically, when you talk about during the tax season, so yeah, you like quality time, but not then.
Yeah,
it ain't quality.
I'm gonna just say,
it ain't quality.
This is what I'm gonna say. I've gotten arguments over tax season, like in the past year. Like, I've been doing taxes 11 years, so over the last 11 years of dating, I have like got into arguments because I wasn't giving time, I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
And maybe in the beginning it was probably more I was chasing money. And like, even though now I chase money, but I know how to like control the chase.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get like that, you know, ignoring, that's why I be like, you know, listen, I'll let you know, man, like, yo, you gotta give me these months, and I'm telling you, whatever we want to do,
yeah,
we go and do it.
Yeah.
And it's gotten better. And I may have like maybe gave gifts more during tax season.
Yeah.
Or like, you know.
Like I'm still here.
I mean, I'm still around,
Yeah.
but like, even like coming over, but see, me mainly during tax season, everything shut down in my life. Like,
Yeah.
I literally, like, my mom would tell people, yo, you're a different person during tax season.
Yeah.
He ain't coming around, he ain't talking unless it's an emergency.
Yeah.
And like, it used to be like, in the beginning, I used to be so hard in, like, clothes just used to pile up. Basically, just take the clothes off. And like my mom would come over, she'd wash them for me or whatever. Mom would bring me food to eat, you know, like because if not, I'm gonna be eating fast food or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I really didn't know how to manage that. It's a lot of hours. Like it may be an 18-hour day, 21 days in a row. You know, and you literally waking up just to go to work, going to sleep when you finish working.
Yeah.
And you know, so now. I still have those 18-hour days, but I know how to manage it more like, instead of me saying, you know what, at 8 o'clock, I'm going to have my first appointment. Now I may have my first appointment at 10 o'clock. I may wake up at 7:30, you know, shower, whatever. I may come and do breakfast.
Give yourself a buffer, though.
Yeah, and then go in the office, like, you know, catch up on some stuff from the night before, and then get that first appointment in at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
That way I give myself some time to just decompress.
Yeah.
And it works. But at the same time, I'm more like, you gotta, like, female has to understand what the situation is, and you can't get upset. Like, you can't, it's like having, what they say, like, you want to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Like, now you gotta pick, like, you gotta know, like, all right, there's just a couple of months.
Yeah.
And when these months over, hey,
it's all about perception. So like I say, like if I'm working, you know, 8, 12 hours here and there and stuff like that, and I'm working, you know, all the way up into retirement or whatever, like, you know, that's kind of like what you normally look at. But to me, like in that instance, I'm looking at it like, yo, you working these months and then you retire for the year.
Yeah.
And then you come back and you work again and you retire for the year. And it's like,
buddy.
it's just, yeah, so it's about perception. It's the way you look at it, you know. And to me, like, I don't see why that wouldn't be ideal. Like, literally, like, let me, like, I'm not telling you I'm about to work every single day for the next 30 years. I'm telling you I'm about to work every single day for these next few months so we can relax, have a good time for these next 8 months, and then I'm back at it again.
Correct.
But it's gonna be a cycle. Realize that's my work schedule. But but again, I mean, to me, I think I kind of just look at it like you kind of pretty much measure a man by his work. And so
since
like,
you said measure men, what do you all think about gender roles in marriage? Like, you know, do you look at it the traditional way?
Nah.
Or like this in this day, like, do gender roles even matter in a marriage?
It's dated to me. Personally, I look at myself. I even look at you like I like to cook. You like to cook. You see what I'm saying? So it's like in my household, I'm doing 95% of the cooking. You know what I'm saying? And it's not. It's more so based off of the fact that I like to cook, and I mean, real talk, my wife like what I cook. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of like what it comes down to. Like, and that's just one, but it's just like. In this day and age, like, to me, it's just so dated, and I think a big part of it, too, is just, like, the independence that women have kind of brought on themselves. Like, you know, being, like, just being working women, being, like, independent to the point to where, you know, of course, they always saying they don't need no man and all that kind of stuff, and so I feel like they already kind of stepped in and started kind of taking charge of their own lives, and so now it's just kind of like, a woman don't necessarily got to be the one in the kitchen cooking. She ain't necessarily got to be the one cleaning up the entire house all the time by herself. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. And like, you know, those are just a couple of the gender roles, but it's like, that stuff don't matter no more. Like, you know.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't matter. Cause kind of growing up in my household, like my dad would go out and cut grass and be in the yard. My mom would too. Helping.
Okay.
I wouldn't be out there because I just didn't want to be outside like that. But you know, like I feel like it it doesn't really matter per se, but in some people's mind it does.
Yeah.
And in some instances, but you know, you got to think of the kids that are being raised now.
All right.
The way they're being raised, like some kids are being raised to where everything, they're not raised like the three of us were raised.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how hard you might have had it. I don't know how hard you might have had it. And y'all don't know how hard I might have had it.
Right.
But we all grew up to be working men and we know how to work.
Right.
And that's one thing that these kids don't know how to do for real.
Yeah. I think it comes to respect a little bit too. Like some of it is respect. It's not necessarily general. So like if I pull up to the gas station, well, I'm gonna say this. If Veronica's driving and I'm in the passenger seat and she pull up to the gas station, I know she can pump her gas or pump the gas, but out of respect, I'm just gonna get out and do it.
Oh, that's a good comment. And I'm pumping gas. If you present, do you have to do it all the time?
To me, it looks a certain way if you don't. I'm gonna just say it looks a certain way if you don't. If I'm sitting on the passenger side and my wife gets out and she pumping gas, like unless I'm like on a conference call or something like that. Like if I was a dude in another car, I ain't gonna lie, I would be like, if I'm a single dude in another car and I see the girl pumping and the dude just sitting in the passenger seat, I would be like, yeah, like I might be able to holler at her, you know? Just I can show her a couple things, but to me it looks a certain way if you don't. Same thing like even when it comes to like taking the trash out, when it comes to like changing the tire, like.
But let me ask you though. I mean, so do they just have to wait on you to take the trash out though? Let's just say you went out of town for your job, so that trash wait?
No. Not that's what I'm saying. Like it's a thing about presence. I think like
okay, I got you.
If you present, like if I'm in the house, or if I'm around every single day and the trash is piling up, like I ain't gonna get mad at her. Like why you ain't take the trash out? Because I know she expected me to take it.
I will.
But I mean, she can take the trash
Oh, yeah.
out from the kitchen to the garage.
Yeah.
But she don't really have to take it out from the garage to the street.
Well, I guess I'm like, so if she fills it up, like let's say she don't want to fill it up.
Yeah. I think she can take it out.
She can take that.
Well,
but if it's like
especially if you change the trash bag today and it's full tomorrow, yes, take that out.
I mean that's something I can see, but like to me it's not really. It's even that's not really that big of a deal. I think a lot of it is just the way it looks. Like if I see a woman come out of a house with some trash bags, I ain't really worried about it. Like I ain't thinking nothing about it. Like
I don't think trash that big of a deal.
No, I'm not looking at her like where her husband at. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I'm at a gas station and I see that, I'll be like, yo.
And see, I will tell you, if I'm not pumping, I'm at least get out the car.
Yeah.
And stand out there with you.
Something like
sometimes I've stayed in the car. Like it could have been that I was asleep or I was tired, was on the road or whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe it was on the phone.
Yeah.
But if I'm like alert, I'm at least come out and stand with you, you know, while you're pumping or whatever. But I know females kind of like, they feel like the man should pump all the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm more like, yo, if I wasn't here, you got to pump anyway. So, like, why would it matter if I'm present or not? Not get it. It's more of a respect thing.
Yeah.
But I don't care about, like, yo.
I'm just pumping. Like,
a lot of that is our grandparents' way.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to that.
But if you think if you think about if you just date back to your grandparents one time, none of them got divorced.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and see, I'm glad. Yo, keep going.
None of them ever got divorced. Like it didn't matter how bad it was. So in our head, the worst thing that could happen is the person has a child on you. You know what I'm saying?
Whether a child or physical.
But did that even matter back in the day?
I think the physical might have mattered a little bit more. I think the kid thing, like
they still didn't get divorced for that.
They didn't get divorced for outside babies.
Outside kids.
Yeah, outside kids were more so like, yo, you embarrassing me. If anybody knows. If nobody knows, it's kind of like keep it under wraps.
But check this out though. So I had a friend whose spouse, the granddad had a child, and they just found out like
after he died or something.
No, not after he died, but he just the child is like 40.
Right.
They just found out.
They just found out.
Probably was across town.
And but they were just like at a service or something like that. You see
I've seen that a lot.
And I see that in my family.
Older generation.
Like, as I got older, new family
events.
Boy, like, you wondering, like, I'm just saying, my grandfather, his kids got, like, all the males, it seems like they got this birth scar on their forehead.
For real?
Boy. And, man, like, I used to see this one guy all the time at the, like, funerals.
Yeah.
And, like, never really know who he was. Until roughly when my grandmother passed away, my grandfather. And I'm like, our uncle? No way. But all of them got this scar.
Yeah.
On it. Like, all my grandfather, all the males have this scar. And, like, when I see that, like, yo, my grandmother knew about that stuff.
Yeah.
I even told my grandfather one time. Like, we went to this lady house in town.
Yeah.
And we got back. And I told my grandma asked who he was. And I told her.
We were at that lady house.
I feel alive.
You probably really didn't even think about like.
I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm young. Like, when I was small, I was always with my grandfather. Like, I never went to daycare because I was with my grandfather. So, like, I was just around him and, like, running his errands. I'm just saying, because my grandfather, like, the crazy part, my grandfather never had a 9 to 5. So, without knowing what an entrepreneur is, my grandfather was an entrepreneur. He was a carpenter.
Okay.
So, he worked on his own shift. Like, and so I was always with him. Like, I didn't have to go to daycare.
Yeah.
And I think I was with him until kindergarten.
Okay.
And, so I seen a lot and was a part of a lot.
Told him.
And I told him. And, but just knowing, I knew my grandmother had to know those things.
Yeah.
Then, possibility that my grandmother had an outside kid on him. So, like, but they stayed together.
Yeah.
And, like, I preach, like, building a storyline. And I'm not necessarily saying cheating is a storyline, but I'm just saying the good, the bad. Like, at one point, I seen an interview with Diddy and Cassie, and Diddy was saying...
They're not together no more.
I know they're not together no more, but this was years ago, and he was like, I think it was, he said, let's just say he said 85% of him was good. But in order to have that 85% good, you had to accept the 15% that was bad from a person. And I think society now, for marriage, we look at society for our answers versus dealing with it together. Like, let's just say social media. You get caught up on social media cheating or something, the other chick blasted on there.
Yeah.
Now, what is it? Checking on your folks. Facebook page. Let's just say somebody put a picture up of you out. They putting a picture of something totally different.
But you out there with somebody.
And you out there with somebody else. The whole city know.
Yeah. Man.
The girl's family know.
I'd say.
How do she react to that?
Yeah.
She gonna, like, the pride. She gonna be pissed.
But, bro, honestly, in today's society, it's so crazy. I'm gonna say this. Personally, you cheat on Veronica, listen, if you cheat on me, I'm out. Like, I ain't saying.
That's one of my questions. Is cheating the end of marriage? Oh.
I mean, it depends. I'm gone. But.
You go.
I'm gone.
So no cheating. No, you can't cheat on Ty.
Nope. And I want to say that I'll stay just because if it happened, I need to know, and then I'll dip after that.
But here's the catch-22. What if Ty cheat on Veronica?
I'm gonna want her to stay.
You gonna
Then
want
it
to stay.
is.
It's always
You want to stay regardless.
It's always it's always go. To me, it's always
You
that
gonna want
double
her to
standard.
stay, but then like if you do it, if she do it,
It's always like I feel like it's always a double standard. Like if that happened, like and she dipped, I couldn't be mad. Like I
Oh, you
would
gonna be mad, bro.
I mean, I couldn't be mad at her. I couldn't say like, "You really gonna leave it?" I mean, like people do that. Like I wouldn't sit back and be like, "You really gonna leave?" Like I get it, like but just stay, just stay, don't go nowhere. But and I say that, like real time, I say that out there, like you really never know until it happened, like something like that happened, and then I think it also depends on where you at, like the dynamic of us having a child, like anything, like it could be. I mean, it could be anything. I think for me, like. To totally be like I'm gone from cheating would be
with the barking straw.
for sure. Like I said, you never know until it happens. But to me, for sure, is if you cheat on me and you do have an outside child, like so you cheat on me and you get pregnant and all that, and then the baby is not mine. I'm sorry, I'm gone. Like
You can't take care of the baby.
No.
So what you get married for?
Right.
What's the
Bro, the Bible tell me I can get about that marriage if you cheat on me, I'm out.
Whoa.
I'm gone.
Hold up. The Bible also said forgive.
I forgive.
Forgive and forget.
But it don't say forgive and stay. Like I don't gotta stay. I'll
It say
forgive.
forgive and forget.
I will. I didn't see now the forget part. That stuff for me. The forgiving, cool. Like I'll forgive, and then we'll co-parent. Like with my child, like we're gonna co-parent.
But my thing is, I mean, the Bible say forgive and forget, but also like you got married. So this goes back to what did you get married on?
Oh.
Mm.
You got married on the premises of love.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But I'm just gonna make this clear. Now, love and the vows and all that stuff, better or worse, like I believe in all that stuff.
Better or worse.
But it don't necessarily mean that I gotta say like I don't.
This is the worst part.
Like my thing is
that's the storyline.
But I feel like a lot of people look at better or worse, and when they hear worse, a lot of the time that the cheating part is what they automatically go to.
I don't think cheating is the worst.
I don't think it's not necessarily the worst, but I feel like a lot of people go straight to that though. Like better or worse, worse being cheating. Like worse being like that's the worst. I think that's the thing that pop up in people's mind a lot of the time. And honestly, I feel like in today's society, I'll look at a video, and my thing is like I'm looking at like a video, like a viral video or something, and the girl trying to get the passcode to her new phone or something like that. The only reason why somebody would really want to get the passcode to your phone is because they got a suspicion.
Right.
I'm trying to get in your phone to see what you're doing, what's going on. And if I'm trying to get in your phone, the person might be keeping the passcode just because it's the principle of the matter. Like, like this is my phone. Like you don't gotta get in my phone, but at the same time, I think in today's society, a lot of people look at like the possibility of cheating not necessarily being a terrible thing. It's like, let me get in this phone just so I can have 100% like evidence, proof, like something going on. For me, it's like better or worse. Like the worst could be so many things. It could be a job loss. It could be multiple deaths. It could be that person getting sick, like on the brink of it. It could be all kind of stuff. I'm gonna be there through all the worst. But for me, that's probably that one is my deal breaker. Again, when it comes to the cheating aspect, like I said, you never really know until you go through it. Like I can't say that I would just dip. But for me, like knowing how I am, I can't see myself like in a marriage knowing like, yo, that ain't even me. Like that ain't me. Like, man, I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna be biased towards my son. Like
I got
all
a question
day.
for that.
Like,
I got a question though. When you were talking about the passcode, and they're trying to get into the phone for the passcode. So here's the question I got for you. So what if they're just trying to get in the passcode because they're doing wrong?
Oh, a lot of times that happens though. A lot of times.
So now I'm just trying to, because I'm out here doing wrong.
I'm trying to validate that you doing wrong too.
So I'll make sure that you doing wrong.
I have a question.
I think that happened a lot.
Do y'all just give the passwords?
I'm gonna say this.
If you no, I ain't gonna say it don't even gotta be marriage. If you with a female and y'all serious, like, do she know your password? Off rip.
I'm gonna say since
like I'm just saying, like once y'all have committed, you're in a committed situation,
right.
and like you got a password, do you just give her the password?
Since phones have been around with passcodes, I'm gonna say that in these past few years, ever since I've had a phone with a passcode, whoever I'm with has had my passcode.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say so I'll say this about my wife. And this is what I like. My wife got my passcode. I'm not worried about my wife necessarily like just picking up my phone and going through my phone. Same way with her. Like she not I have her passcode. She not worried about me like getting up and going through her phone either. Whatever. We both just trust each other like that. To me, it's like somebody prying, and it's not even about like hiding anything, but it's just like for somebody to like be prying. It could literally be. It could be my brother and my sister. Like, if you got the passcode to my phone and you going and prying through my stuff, like that's annoying.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that irritates me. Like, I'm gonna be irritated by that. Like, don't go prying through my stuff. But it's different. Like, you know, if we on the road and like, you know, some music playing or something. Or we, you know, she trying to go look at something or whatever, and it's like she got my passcode. Same thing with her. Like I got her passcode. So for me, ever since passcodes have been around, and I think ever since I've had a passcode, like I've only been with like 2 people with to have passcodes. Right. So both of those people did, and I will say that one of the people who had my passcode was a prior, and I used to be like, bruh, like,
why you prying?
Give it up, and it wasn't even necessarily like. It wasn't a sneaky like I'm going through. It was like in front of my face, like, who is that?
Oh,
who is that? And then, you know, and that used to be like.
So was that the deal breaker?
No.
That wasn't the deal breaker. The reason why you didn't marry her.
Nah, that wasn't.
What do you think, Chris? The passcode.
The passcode. I don't. I mean, I've never given them out.
You never give it out?
I've never given them out.
I never really.
But I've never been in a situation where anybody's really asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like if you give it to me, okay, that's fine. But I'm not gonna go through your stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But like as an entrepreneur,
mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure you can probably say the same thing that. More women call you than men.
Yeah.
And that's probably like the same thing for me. Like more women would call me than men to say, hey, I need my picture taken.
Oh yeah. And see, I just started putting the password, but I gave it. I don't have a problem. Like I have one thing. Like, and I have gone through a situation with somebody just prying through stuff, and I always tell people. If you're snaking for something, you're gonna get bitten every time.
Yeah.
Like something that's not even an issue is going to bite you.
It's gonna be an issue
because you read it a certain way without knowing. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm gonna just say, I'm gonna get a password up. Like if we in committed relationship, like if you looking cool, that's on you. But me personally, like, do I care about what a female got in her phone? No. Now, when I was younger, I did care.
Yeah.
But as why? Man, I probably was so deeply in love,
Love, I say
love. Was it love or was it lust?
It could be both. I'm gonna go with love, man. Like all the females that I was in love with, I love them.
Cause I mean,
and like even now I take that back. Like when I was younger. I loved hard back then. I didn't know the limits of love, And so now it's more, hey, I'm secure and I know, like, I'm going to just say, I know you're going to have male friends. I can't come in and be like, yo, you slept with him.
Yeah.
Now you can't talk to him no more.
Yeah.
I can't because you know why? All my friends, female friends, I probably was in a relationship with them at some point.
Yeah.
And we have gotten over that stage of relationship. They in a new relationship, but they may be married or they've moved on, and we're still friends.
Yeah.
So I can't come in and say, "Now, you can't talk to him no more."
Yeah.
I don't want to see that his name in the text message name.
See, and I think that depends on like at what point in the relationship you at. So like, I think with you is a little different. Like,
I don't even ask for males. Like, I don't even care. Like when I straight talking to female, I'm not asking you nothing about the last dude.
Yeah. When I'm gonna say this, I'm a curious person. So like, even with me and Veronica first got together. Well, actually, I found out like information before we really got together. We wasn't like so. Veronica was in a relationship before me and her got together or whatever. And so we were just cool. I liked it, but we were just cool or whatever. But it was like, she would tell me about her relationship and stuff, and we would talk about it.
That's different.
I did like her, of course. We went together or whatever. So all that information, I actually knew that stuff before we got together. So, but when we got together, like, of course it was knowledge at the time, but for me, like, early on in the relationship, it's like, same thing. Like, I'm not about to sit up here and be asking you, like, about this and about that. But, like, at this point, though, like, me and Veronica, we've been together. We've been married 4 years. We've been together since 2007. So, we've been together 11 years. So, it's like, at this point, though, like, if some random dude popping up there, now I'm going to be questioning it, like, you ain't telling me? Like, who is that? But I get that, like, early on, like, no, like, if that's a friend of yours and it's a dude, same thing. But, like,
See, with my phone, it's always going to be a random new female.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not even, like, honestly, I don't even, like, meet females. If that's just the way to say it, I'll go out to, like, meet females. But, with all my clients, I form friendships with. Or some kind of relationship with, because I like to be transparent. I like to gain trust.
Yeah.
So it's I can have a conversation with a text client every day.
Right.
Or some of them every day.
Right.
And it's really nothing.
Right.
But so it's always gonna be somebody. So like what I've done, I've made it where like if you're a client, it's a certain way you're in my phone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That way, like, if you see this certain pattern, like,
know what it is.
you already know what time it is. And I'll say also, like, do I flirt? Oh, yes, I flirt. And, like, but at the same time, I don't see nothing wrong flirting. And I'm also the type, like, I'll give you a scenario. Was at Walmart, in the deli. Walmart deli area, they got those stuffed jalapenos.
Oh, yeah.
Buddy, this, Jamaican guy was working in the back, and at this point we was on a craze for these jalapeno poppers, and I was back there with her, and buddy, dude started. He I guess I came up after she was there. He was already flirting with her, and first I just come over and let her know, get them jalapeno poppers, and next thing you know, bro, hey. Probably like 3-4 pounds for $5.
Yep.
And I don't like, so to me, I don't have like, I think it's more about your security with the female.
Yeah.
So that
I feel that
it comes to certain, I think it was a question I had was, should marriage commitments be viewed traditionally or independently based on a couple of views? And I think what we're all saying is, it's an independent situation. Like, I value a lot of traditional stuff, but I do like to intertwine current dated information into those situations. Like, same way with church. Like, I'm not, like, I grew up Baptist. Do I want to be in a Baptist church? Nope. Like, do I listen to, like, old gospel hymns at home? Yes. But, like, do I want to hear that every Sunday at church or something? No, like, do I want to hear a hollering pastor? Nope. But do I value the traditional Baptist, not the views, I don't want to say views, but some of the things that was taught to me? Yes.
Yeah.
So, and like, up to date times, you changing, and like,
Yeah, I mean, what it boils down to is every person is different. Every relationship is gonna be different, and so it's like I even look at like we talked about like going back to our grandparents and stuff like that. I mean, I say on my mama's side they did get divorced, but going back to just just couples back in the day, like you did rarely see that. I mean, it really just didn't happen.
It really had to be a special situation. The reason why they got divorced.
But even
I don't even know an old couple that got divorced.
But this is my thing, like, even though those people didn't really like barely got divorced, part of it I think also was the times. It wasn't necessarily the tradition. I think part of it was the times too. If it doesn't mean that because they stayed married that somebody in that marriage was not hurting at some point. You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
And so to me it's like, and to me though it's like it's more so a view of the time, because it's like a lot of women back then, like I would think really honestly they probably were the ones kind of sticking around when a lot of stuff was going down.
Of course.
But it's like if they left, like what place would they really be in? Especially if they are they're in the home working, and the husband is the person actually making all of the bread.
You know what? It goes both ways. The woman, if she would have left, what she do?
Right.
The man, if the woman leaves, what do he do?
That's true too.
Because a lot of men
don't know how to take care of her.
They don't know how to take care of home. They didn't know how to pay bills.
Yep,
and I learned this doing taxes. So like my older customers, they would like, the wife may come in and be like, I never had to do this because my husband did it and he passed away.
Yeah.
Or the husband may come in and be like, I just went to work.
Yeah.
She handled all the bills.
Yeah.
I got a client right now. The wife comes in and handles everything. The husband don't know nothing. So for real, like, I even end up meeting the husband later.
How many kids you got?
Listen, I met him later. And he was like, he said, help me out. I was like, nah. I said, but I do your taxes. He was like, what? He was like, yeah, my wife done all of this stuff. He didn't even know me. Like, and I'm just saying, like, it's still, but they're older.
Yeah.
But like, our generation, buddy, women, like men and women, they so quick to go left and right.
Yeah.
And it's more like, what would make you stay? Like, say, is it? We all say it's about cheating and stuff like that. The for better or for worse. Like, why do we decide to divorce faster now than in the past?
I think part of it is that is some of it is the fact that like gender roles not necessarily there anymore. So like a man knows how to cook, clean, take care of home a little bit more. A woman is a little bit more independent. She's out there working more. So it's like we're not as dependent on each other as we have been before. And then I think there's just, there's other outside, things that could play a part.
Do you think we're marrying for wrong reasons?
Oh, I'm sure.
Some people do.
Yeah, I'm sure. People get married, quick. Sometimes, like, even people who've been together for a long time. But, I think part of it is mindset, too, now to where it's kind of like, back in the day, it was kind of like, that's what you did. You stayed together. Now it's kind of like, if I want to leave, I can leave. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to stay here. And, like I said, it could be so many outside things. It could be something where it's like, yo, my husband or my wife getting boring. This person that I met is more exciting.
But I'm gonna say this. How can you get boring if we say we get married? Like
people don't respect the institution of marriage. To me, like the way that they used to. Really.
Well, when you still talk about used to, you talking like your grandparents, maybe your parents. Because. I know parents that stay together, like in our generation, parents stay together just because of our younger siblings,
right?
Not because of us, but our younger siblings. So I've known parents to just stay together. One might be unhappy, so now Our parents are 60.
Right.
Just like our grandparents that when we first met them, they were 60. You see what I'm saying? Like mine were, they were 60 or, you know, whatever, however old they were. And so like Todd was saying, you know, you just piggybacking off of him, you know, you do have those non-defined gender roles that aren't available anymore. And it's just easier for me to walk away than it is for me to stay and work things out.
Gotcha.
So, you know, like when it's just easier to walk away, yeah, it might cost a little bit of money here, but I'll get my taxes done and do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just walk away from everything instead of just trying to, you know, work things out. And a lot of times it's just kind of like mental stability.
Yeah.
So we might not have seen the perfect marriage. So the reason why you probably ain't married right now is because you didn't see it growing up. You didn't see, okay, well, mom and dad got married at 25, and here it is, I'm 35, and I'm still not married. Right. So, and so, you know, like, you didn't see all of that, so therefore you're not gonna do that. We're in a generation where it's a lot of visualizations that go on, and where like our kids want to see you do whatever. They want to see you do whatever. They have to see it. And if they don't see it, like, it's no telling. So like our parents told us what to do. Correct. But these kids, our kids, well, like even class, I'm older than both of y'all. So my classmates' kids have kids. Oh yeah. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So therefore, they were spoiled. They spoiled their kids, and those kids are being raised by now they will be their great grandparents, which are my age. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? That they got great grandkids, and you just, you know, 38, 40.
So enough. Now tell me this: Do kids affect you staying in a marriage?
They will. Like they will. They did in our parents' era. They did then. Now it doesn't matter.
But so you don't think it matters no more?
I think in some instances it do. And the only reason why I say that is so funny because literally about 3 weeks ago, I was listening to what is it, Sweat Hotel on the radio. Yeah. Bruh, craziest shit ever. This dude calls in. Dude called in talking to Keith Sweat, and he was like, I forget exactly what he was talking about at first, but then he was just like, yeah, man, you know, something about, I think my wife cheating on me now. And so Keith was like, you think your wife cheating on you now? He was just like
right now?
Well, not in that moment, but like while they was together, he was like, you think your wife cheating on you now? And he was just like, yeah, man. And he was like, you know, why you say that? And he was like, because, you know, she disappeared for like 3 days and came back. And, you know, of course, I'm like, yeah, obviously she cheating on you. But then he was like, well, you know, so if you think she cheating on you, like, why you staying around? And he said, for my kids. And he was just like, you know, I'm going to be a man and I'm going to stick around for my kids and all this kind of stuff like that. And it's just like, I think that lends to partially too, like going back to like, why the older generation stay together a lot of times too, because it's like, if I'm sticking around for my kids, and they used to have a lot of kids back then too, and spread so far and wide, and so it's like, you know, if my last child is really not growing up until I'm like 50, 60 years old, it's kind of like, I might as well just stay, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so what do you say for kids?
What I say for kids? I mean,
it just depends on the situation.
Yeah,
it depends on the situation.
So you got to look at, you know, reasons for divorce.
Right.
Reasons for divorce, and it just depends on the situation. So like, what you and this goes back to the beginning of everything. Like, in a relationship, what is the deal breaker? So you know in your head what your deal breaker is. But if you don't verbalize it in the beginning, then that person will never know. So now you're just sitting in your office and you're working. So your deal breaker is, hey, don't bother me during tax season. But you got 8 months to bother me. But if that's a deal breaker for her, then and she don't really, kind of like verbalize like, I need you 12. I need you 12 months instead of just 8. Like, if they don't verbalize that, somebody gonna be frustrated.
Oh yeah.
So you gotta understand the deal breaker. So if just staying around for the kids is gonna, like everything that's not physically or just like mentally draining can be worked out.
So like, do the kids not make you happy? Like, no, when do you determine your happiness? Like, you stay for the kids, but you miserable with her.
But after you have kids, like, it's kind of like, I feel like this right here. Once I had my son, like, my happiness was out the door. As far as like I just wanted to be there for the kid. Like the kid, like I wanted to make sure that not necessarily he had everything that I didn't have, but I want to make sure that I'm raising him.
Presence.
Exactly.
Okay, so see, that's my thing. Like, so I have a daughter. Me and the mom not together. I'm more, forget the nonsense. Presence. That's all I care about. I don't care about nothing else. I want to make sure my daughter is raised by me.
Right.
And whatever that takes, I'm cool with it. So, like, now, I'll say this. Being in relationships and going through heartache, like, when you raise a kid for a while, I don't believe in stepkids. Like, once I commit to the mama,
right,
and that's my child. And if they start calling me daddy, I'm daddy.
Yeah. And
so, like, I would say, like, I ain't no front, like, I've been in a situation where, like, wanting to break up, but, like, thinking about the kid.
Yeah.
And thinking about the debt damage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm trying to work it out. Or hold my peace longer to see if this situation like switch over, right, so I can stay active. Because I'm more like, I'm gonna just say my father didn't keep promises, so like, he didn't keep his word when I was a kid, and when I got older, I understood it. But in that moment, growing up, I understand it.
Yeah. Like,
if you say to me, we going to the ball game. I expect to be at the ball game. Right. And that's how I look like when I tell a kid, like, this is what we're going to do, we got to do it. Like, I would not if I tell my daughter something, we doing it. Yeah. Like, forget the BS. I'm not going to, like, be the dad where she be like, well, he always say we're going to do something, we don't do it. Yeah. I never want that coming from my kid, but maybe because that's what I had to deal with as a kid. Yeah, I mean, I think too, kids just have they pull on your heartstrings a little bit more. So, I made a comment to my wife. I was joking, of course, but I mean, I think there was some honesty in it too. But I was just looking at my son one day, and just kind of like it just kills me, like when he's just around there just laughing and stuff. Like he's watching his little TV show, just laughing, and I'm looking like, man, that's my dude right there. That's my little guy. And I looked at her and I'm just like, man, when I look at him, I could never imagine leaving you. You know what I'm saying? Because of him. And of course it was a joke, just, being funny or whatever, but there was some honesty in it too, because it's like literally to be able to come home to him, to them really, but to see him every single day, like the thought of like something happening with me and his mom to where, like I gotta have shared visitation and stuff like that. Like I just can't imagine not seeing them every single day when I get to the house. Like, and so, I'm not really one that really strong. I don't really believe in divorce like that. You know what I'm saying? I think,
like I say, most things can be worked out. Like I told them, my deal breaker is, but
Mm-hmm.
but I think most stuff can really be worked out. You know what I'm saying? But so it's kind of tough for me to really say like if I would stay for a child or not. But I can definitely say like I see why people do stay for kids. Like you know it's tough. You know what I'm saying? But I personally feel like the older a child gets, or you know, like they can become a teenager and stuff like that. Not necessarily in every case, but I think that a lot of times that you know they probably do start understanding more, and then like when they start seeing other people divorce and stuff like that, they they probably get it a little bit more. But like I say, I get why people stay. I can see why people stay for sure.
Gotcha. All right, I got 2 questions left.
Yep.
First one. How much do you share as in information and money with your spouse? So should you all have one bank account and then divvy that money into the other accounts after that money is into that one account?
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna say again, every situation is different. I got a friend, you know, she's married, and you know, she tells me like, you know, when I want to go to Commerce, I always make sure that my husband is around so he can pay, you know. And in my mind, I'm just kind of like, oh, like to me, in my situation, like it's all one, you know. And a lot of times I look at it like, you know, I really hate seeing that stuff where they like, you know, the man is the breadwinner and he should be the one paying all of this and all of that. And it's like, to each his own. If that's how you feel, that's cool. But to me, it's just like, it's so annoying because it's like, let's just say on my own, me and my wife together, and on my own, I can afford $1,000 in rent or $1,000 in a mortgage. But together, we doing at least $1,500 on rent or $1,500 mortgage wise. To me, it makes sense. Like, let's do it together. Let's do the 15. You know what I'm saying? As long as whatever it is like not overwhelming or something like that. But like pretty much like together we can do so much more as opposed to. And to me, I also look at it like if we both working and I'm paying every single thing, then what does your money go towards too? Like, are you like you buying me gifts? Like, you know, I'm confused.
We're gonna stop on that part. I'm gonna let Chris say his part.
Okay.
We're gonna catch up on her money being what we do with that money.
Cool.
Well, that's kind of like a tough question for me. But I'll say this. This is what I will say. I'll say you can have it separately. Because what if, and this is just what if she can't balance finances? Okay. So if she can't balance finances, then if she sees this big pot, or if he sees a big pot, you know what I'm saying? What if they can't balance finances and they see this big pot, they think they have more to spend? So like how you can afford $1,000 on your own, but you know, if it's together, then yeah, that makes sense. But I'll say, you know, like, and you have to kind of define. So sometimes that person has to take over the finances, but this comes all in communication. And most people who have bad finances, they won't communicate that they got bad finances. Or they won't tell you, they won't communicate efficiently enough for you to be able to take over to kind of control. Not necessarily you're trying to control them, but you're trying to control the household. And there's a difference, you know, between the two. So, you know, like, personally, I can do the separate. Separate accounts, because it's not like it's just off thing. As long as the bills are getting taken care of. But I can show you how we can set it up to where, okay, because I had this conversation on the way back home from the classic with the cheer coaches, and so we were just talking about like how that works. So we can do all together. You got a business.
In a second, I just want to.
You got if you got the business, so you got a business account. You got your regular paycheck. So some people have a business and then they have a regular job,
right?
Such as myself. So that'll go into account. Your business will go into your account, but there has to be a boundary. So right now the boundary is how it should be set up is 50, 30, 20. 50% is what mortgage.
All right.
All your household bills. 30% is what cable.
Okay.
Internet. You don't have to have it, but you got it.
Gotcha.
And then that 20% is savings. So, you know what I'm saying, you can vary the savings somehow, however you want to do it, but 50, 30, 20. So like, if you set it up like that, then that's cool. But sometimes like some people can't see all that money.
You're right. And I'm all about one pot. One pot, divvy the money, like pay the bills, pay your tithes. What's left? A percentage to save, and then everybody, you get a piece, I get a piece.
So you think like an allowance?
Yeah.
Right.
And I the reason I think that is like Ty just spoke on let's just say if I can afford all the bills and your money is just extra money. Like let's do a general. Let's say the guy make 50, the wife making 30. If his 50 can pay all the bills every month, and her 30 is just free money. Let's just say that his 50 pay the bills, and it also have enough money left over, some extra little curriculum money, like let's just say $1,000 a month. But she got that full 30 every month. So that's what? 12 months, that's maybe about 28-ish.
Yeah, about 3,000.
All right, about $3,000 a month. So at that point, what are we doing with your $3,000? Or that $3,000 that's coming into the house? I'm letting you freely blow it.
No, you can't blow it. But
No, I'm just saying, like, because you gotta think, like, if we're gonna just say use the ideal of my money pays all the bills because I'm the man or I'm the breadwinner attitude. What do we do with her $30,000 a year?
But let's look at this too, because in this day and age, some women are the breadwinner.
Oh yeah.
Well, listen. Let's just say this though.
Yeah.
This 50 and 30,000 scenario, it could be either way.
Right.
Yeah.
But what we're saying is like if the $50,000 person could pay all the bills, because if we I'm just feel like when you say you're married, you're one.
Yeah.
So if that could pay the bills, what do we do with that extra 30? Like we can't just let it. Like I'm just saying, like you use the example of the 50, 20, 30. Well, 50, 30, 20. So I'm just saying, like let's say on my side or the $50,000 person side. Let's say that we as a couple we pay the bills with that. Right, that's what our bills is every year, $50,000 worth. We still got this $30,000, but we still got 1,000 left over. We got 12,000 a month left over. That's outside. And when I say bills, I'm talking about the food. I'm talking about the gas, all your credit cards, all your loans, everything. You still got 1,000 left over, so that's 500 left. So you really got 4,000 a month to play with. How much of that do we save? I'm just saying, like,
all of it.
Cause like you say, a person see this money, and I'm gonna just say, it's a difference when you see 10,000 sitting in the bank.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I tell people, when you start learning money, you got to create a new zero. Mm-hmm. So, like, as much as you say one, I think personally, whoever the strong person is, they have the finances.
Yeah.
And that person got to be submissive.
Yeah.
And, like, I say to everybody, submission works both ways.
Oh, yeah.
So, how do you get that person, the weaker person, to buy in to this?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. So, like, when we talk about one pot or not, like, so when I was talking earlier, me and my wife got separate bank accounts, but the money as a whole is one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, and when I say that, the only way for it to be one is like I remember when you first asked the question, like, how much information are you sharing? Like, she knows like what I'm bringing in. Mm-hmm. So now she's working another job where she gets paid every 2 weeks or whatever. But a month ago, before she left her previous job, for the past 4 years, she was working at a school, so she was getting paid once a month.
All right.
We realized with her check pays could pay the bulk of the bills. Mm-hmm. I'm getting paid every 2 weeks. She's getting paid once a month at the end of the month. To us, it made sense. Like, yo, you only get paid once. Mm-hmm. Use your check. We're gonna pay off the bulk of really everything that we got every month, and then when I get paid, like, there's little stuff that we might have to pay. Like, mm-hmm. I'll pay a utility bill, or I'll pay for daycare or something like that. But at the same time, it's like, you know what I'm bringing in. So the money that I'm bringing in, after I pay this and this and this, you know what's left over.
Right.
Like, so I used to pay I used to take care of like bills and all that kind of stuff a few years ago. And then she got to the point where she wanted to just like take over that. And I'm like, cool, that's fine with me. Like, she got an Excel spreadsheet with our bills and stuff laid out on it. You know what I'm saying? So like, she on a different level with it. And it's like, that's cool to me. Like, and honestly, I'm gonna tell you, every time I get paid, this is exactly what I do. What bills do I have to pay? Because I know when I get paid, like, I'm paying all those bills right away. Get all that money up out of my account. We know what we're working with. We know what we got left over. We know what we can play with. We know what we got to put to the side. We know that in a couple of months, like right now in December, our son's birthday is coming up. So we know that's coming up. We know we got to put some money to the side for that. We know that I got an event that I'm trying to do in July. We know we got to put money to the side for that. We know, like, you know, so it's like, on top of our budget for bills and all that kind of stuff, we know the other things that's going on too. But at the same time, even though we got these two separate accounts, and part of it is because, you know, we got this one bank and we got another bank, so that like later on in life, when, you know, hopefully in the next year or two, when we looking to like buy, like, we can leverage either of them banks to possibly look into like loans and stuff like, you know, different little things like that or whatever. So part of it is strategy too, but it's like, at the end of the day, whether it's two separate accounts or whether it's one account together, like, for us, it just makes more sense for everything to be one, and then we just kind of like just go based off of that. It just makes sense, but it does come back to the communication aspect. Like, y'all got to be able to talk to each other. Y'all got to be able to be open with each other. You got to be able to like discuss those things or whatever. Like, both of us, like, at different times, like, you know, what bills I got to pay.
Okay.
Or she like, you know, what's your check gonna be? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it comes down to that over communication, but it also, like you said, it comes down to each party being submissive, and not submissive in a way where you just laying down, but submissive to where it's like, you know, you listening to this person.
You just want to learn.
Exactly.
Like, if you're weak, if you strong in this, you lead.
Yeah.
But show me.
Yeah.
You know, teach me how to do that.
Yeah.
So we saying communication is the biggest thing in marriage.
Communication, finance, and sex.
Gotcha. We didn't even touch sex, but I didn't even want to touch sex because I wanted like us to really talk. We talked about a lot of stuff like
at the core.
Of what marriage is. So my last question is going to be, how do you create healthy dialogue without the spouse feeling like you're fussing?
Man, it is.
Because everything we talked about can create. It don't have to be an argument, but
does.
it can create an argument
Oh, yeah.
depending on how the other person views it.
And especially if it comes down to constructive criticism. Like, constructive criticism with most people is going to be like, yo, you dogging me out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Hey, this is not constructive criticism. You're not trying to tell me nothing to better myself. You're talking about me right now. And so I think, like, if you get past that, like, you can kind of have that mutual open dialogues where it's not as bad, but it can be tough. And I know for me, like, when I talk, and you know, I'm probably still working on this, but you know, like, I know I used to. Yeah, and it's
that's my issue.
Yeah, like my wife, she used to like literally tell me, like, when you talk to me, sometimes you make me feel so dumb because you make it seem like you know everything and I know nothing at all.
I get you talking to me like you're my daddy.
Right.
That's like a favorite line.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Me.
Yeah.
But you're talking at.
Yeah.
So one thing that and it's a guy that you can look into, Todd, Gottman. The Gottman theory.
Gottman. Okay.
Gottman. So basically you have to kind of take yourself out of the situation and put yourself into their shoes, basically.
Yeah.
So you're really being compassionate, but you're getting so instead of saying, you know, instead of you always saying, well, the trash. You always filling the trash up one day after I take it out. You start taking it out. So we're really upset about the trash if that's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
But you know, like, instead of you saying that, you know, like, hey, you know, I really would appreciate if you see how you just change the words. So now what happens is you're going back and you're having them feel compassionate about what you're talking about. Just like 45.
Okay.
All right. So just like 45, we'll sit here and we'll say we don't like him. It's only because he's not compassionate enough. It ain't no different from anybody else, any of the other 44 other ones before. They just had a little bit more compassion.
Okay. I could agree with that.
They just had a little bit more compassion about what he's saying, the same thing that they said. He just saying it more direct and blunt.
Yeah.
And so now you just, only thing it did for you was just turn that switch off. Like, I don't like this dude. You see what I'm saying? It ain't no different from the other 44.
Yeah.
They just had a little bit more compassion about what they said and how they said it, the delivery.
Yeah.
So, you know, once you start learning how to deliver what you're trying to give, then, you know,
I think it comes to communicate, like a certain wall too that's there when it comes to communicating too. So like
childhood too.
Yeah, so like me and my wife, we were in a discussion the other night. Like, you know, she woke me up like it was like a little bit after midnight. Like, woke me up because she couldn't go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, "We got to talk about this. Like, it's on my mind." You know, and I'm tired. I'm like, you know, she wake me up. I'm like, man, hold on, let me go pee. Like, we about to have this kind of conversation. Let me go to the bathroom. So, you know, but we started talking, and shortly after we started talking, like, so she told me what was on her mind and what was bothering her, and the reason why she couldn't sleep and all this stuff. And so it was like, what I said was, I understand 100% where you're coming from, and I take 100% of the blame for that. 100% of the blame. While we're on this subject, though, I do want to tell you some concerns that I've had as well.
There you go.
So I told her. She kept going back to, it seemed like I was making excuses. And I'm, you know, in my mind, I keep thinking to myself, like, now if I would have reverted back, I probably would have sounded like I was like talking like she just didn't know what she was talking about. But I kept saying to myself, like, I was confused because I'm like, how am I making excuses when I'm taking all of the blame? I'm telling you, you're right. And what I'm telling you, what I'm talking to you about might kind of lend to some of these things that you're talking about. They're not excuses. I just want you to know that this is how I'm feeling about it. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of kept going back to the excuse thing. And then finally I just had to say, like, I really had to like completely break it down and tell her, like, what I'm really saying is your point that you like, what you drove home to me is 100% right. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything wrong in the argument that you presented to me. Like, it's 100% right. I take 100% of the blame. I'm just letting you know, since we're talking about this, that this is how I'm feeling about some other stuff. It may kind of lend to some of like what we were just talking about, but it's not an excuse as to why that's happening. The reason why that's happening, I gotta get myself together when it comes to that. You're 100% right. Mm-hmm. But I also just want you to know, like, also like help me to get myself right. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it finally got to a point where it was just like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying. It's not an excuse. You just want me to know, like, that's just how you feeling. I appreciate that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I was getting mad at first, like, you don't, like, listen to what I'm saying. Like, I'm telling you, like, you're not wrong. I'm not making any excuses. You're 100% right. It's not an excuse. This, what I'm telling you, how I'm telling you, like, I feel about this and this and this, that does not matter when it comes to this. You're 100% right on that. I should just do better when it comes to that. But I do want you to know how I feel about these other items over here. And it was just like, I kept getting frustrated because she wasn't getting that point. It almost kept making it seem like I was like trying to make excuse. And I'm just like, nah. And so like, but instead of me getting mad, like I just kept like trying to break it down on a like a more granular level. And once she finally got it, it was kind of like, ooh. Most times, like if I'm leaving an argument, or I don't want to, we weren't arguing, we were having like a discussion where it was just kind of emotional. But it's like most of the time, like after them things, I just be so heated. You know what I mean? But like after that one, it was kind of like cool. Like I felt like we got to a good spot. Like neither one of us really was like 100% like let's hug it out. But we was good. Like we got our points across. Everybody understood, and it was just kind of like cool. Like in that very next morning before I went to work, we both just looked at each other like, "Thank you for last night." Like real talk. Like that was healthy. Like a healthy conversation, healthy discussion. We got to like I feel like we got to a better place.
My healthy discussions never end like that. I know I'm the type, I'm not gonna say much. I'm not gonna repeat myself that many times. Yeah. But when I finally open up to you, you gotta take what I say. Mm. And it's not even that, my delivery is probably bad. Uh-huh. I'm very blunt. And I just say what it is. So you can't look at the action. You gotta just take the words. Mm-hmm. Like, so whatever I say, that's what I mean. Versus the delivery. Delivery may be totally bad. But if you go back and just listen to my words, you'll be able to feel what I'm saying, hopefully. Mm-hmm. But I never, like, when I leave a conversation like that, they may tell me they feel okay, but they don't. I may leave that conversation more frustrated because I probably had to repeat myself. And I know they didn't get what I said. They just said okay just to shut me up.
Bro, that's frustrating. If I get that, I'm repeating myself.
I definitely got to work on the way I deliver messages. Even maybe talking more. But I'm more of I like to process it out and then say something. Yeah. I like to build a resume to show you like, all right, see, on this day, this is what you did to me. Yeah. You did this on that day, you did that on that day, but you never even realized it. Yeah. And now, when I'm telling you, I'm still the bad guy, because I'm telling you how I feel. And so, like, that kind of hurts conversation in my relationship, because I never could just say how I feel, and somebody just like, you know what? I understand.
I be wanting
and I'm sorry.
I be wanting that.
You know, like when it's sincere, it's more like I'm sorry, shut up. And and then the actions after that conversation, it don't change. Yeah. And we're back to square one, and I'm back to feeling unhappy or frustrated, and now if I say it to you the next time, I know the way I am, everything up in the air, everything going in smoke if I gotta say it again. So I'll try to, as much as I want healthy dialogue, I gotta do healthy dialogue on problems that don't involve me.
Yeah.
You know, for it to be healthy. But if it involves my feelings,
yeah,
you know, it don't work out for me.
I'm gonna tell you something too, Todd. So back to what you were saying, how she went through, you took the blame. That's all she wanted.
Oh, that's cool with me. Like, but
like
it was like she wasn't getting it. Like I took.
No, so what I'm saying is, when I say that, that's all she wanted. All she wanted to do was say her piece, and you not say nothing.
That's fine, but
it don't work like that.
It don't work.
No.
But that's what I explained to her too. It was like, because I got that at a point. Like when we were talking, I got that, and I was like, what I'm doing by talking to you about this extra stuff, to me, it just makes sense because we're here talking about this stuff now.
In the moment.
And that's what I was telling. I'm like, to me, it don't make sense for us to finish this conversation. And now that we're talking about this, and that's on my mind, I wait for another week or 2 weeks, and then bring it back up, and then you say like, why you just ain't say it then? Yeah. Because in this moment, you might not want me to say it. But in 2 weeks, it won't make sense for me not to have said it at this point. Right, and so that's what I ended up telling. And that's kind of why we got to that point where it was just like, oh, okay, cool. Because I ended up telling her, like, I take the blame. That's done. Like, that's the end of that. You're right. Like, okay, new conversation. We up. Like, let's talk. Like, this is a new conversation. This is how I'm feeling about this and that. You know, and it's just like, this not me telling you that you're wrong in any way either. This is really just me telling you, like, this is how I'm looking at this. Let's just, you know. And like I said, we ended it, like I said, on a really, really good note. The next morning it was like, cool, like, thank you for it. Both of us, like, thank you for it or whatever, man. I mean, honestly, like, we get in those discussions, but it's, you know, we got so much love that it ain't really.
Listen, discussions like that end with, like, what we gonna do? For me, I promise you, it never ends with like
where you thanking each other the next day.
Yeah, now it's more like, so what's next?
Yeah, but see, like in your instance, like if somebody do that, like it's been times when she do that, she be like, okay, when you do that, then okay, like I know that you saying okay to shut me up. I'm to the point to where I always feel like if I'm talking to you and like I'm like really expressing myself, like I feel like it's a valid point that I'm putting out there that you need to understand. So I'm like, hey, yo, no, ain't no just okay. Like, listen, let me finish telling you.
It don't work that way. Anytime, I have an argument, it's more like what? Like I'll say, like in the past, I used to like, I'll just say like at this point in the relationship, I had gave a house key. Mm-hmm. And so we had one of these type discussions. And I had prior to that, I was like, yo, just throw it away.
Throw the key away?
Throw my house key away.
Throw the whole key away.
Right. And
throw the whole house away.
You know, we had a moment and we discussed it and I'm telling how I feel and they wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
And we ended the conversation and it was like, so what? You just want me to throw the house key away again? Like, you fucking right. That's what I want you to do. Like, and it's just, I'm more the type, like, don't call my bluff.
Yeah.
If you give me an ultimatum or call my bluff, I'm going with what you don't want. Every time.
So you want me to throw the key away? Oh, you do know me.
Yeah. Throw it away. So, I'll just say, we got 17 minutes to 2 hours if y'all want to talk about another topic on marriage.
Well, I will say this. This is what I will say about just being married. Uh-huh. Like, the one thing about being married, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. I believe it.
It's not an easy thing to do because you're bringing in two personalities. Mm-hmm. You're bringing in two upbringings, 2 different upbringings.
Uh-huh.
You're bringing all that in, and if you don't communicate effectively, and it's not just in the beginning, it's the duration.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like okay, well, we go to marriage counseling and we're fine and dandy, because, you know, everything is good in the beginning.
Oh, that's a good question. Do you all suggest premarital counseling? Counseling during the marriage?
Yeah, you have to. You have to keep everything fresh.
Uh-huh.
I was talking to, I think, an older couple, and they were saying, like, you know, just by you being able to keep everything fresh, like, okay, so it's all good, you know. It's just like a car. You drive it off the lot, man, that thing driving smooth. But you got to take that thing in there every year to get a tune-up.
Yeah.
At least, like, you know, when you had your Mercedes.
Uh-huh.
You know, you had to take it in there at least once a year or twice a year or however,
Right.
to get it tuned up. And that's just like the same thing with marriage. Like, you have to go and get a tune-up every now and then. So we're talking like retreats, you know, like things that churches put on, you know, like where they have these people come in and speakers, whatever. I mean, no marriage is perfect.
Right.
But in the time of social media, you know, you're looking at Jay-Z, Beyonce, and you're like, oh my God, I want what they got. Man, he cheated on her.
Yeah.
We don't know why he cheated, but he cheated on Beyonce.
Uh-huh.
You see what I'm saying? So if Jay-Z will cheat on Beyonce, what do we have? You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with that?
Our standards.
Yeah.
Our standards is like people, I think, you know, hashtag relationship goals.
Yeah.
We look at that stuff, and some of them things is not attainable for every relationship.
Yeah.
So, like, the presence of social media, it may make a situation on the outside look great, and on the inside, it's filthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what they got going on.
Nobody, I mean, most relationships you're not going to know. You know what I'm saying? Because
Some of you will know. Social media has let us know
no, that's true.
a lot about
it does become a
business,
diary for
their
some
marriages or relationships,
Yeah,
and they just blasting it on social media, showing the pictures of
doing too
bleaching
much.
clothes or setting clothes on fire.
Doing too much, and it's crazy. But I mean, to answer that question, I mean, I think for sure premarital counseling, for sure, like before we got married, we did premarital counseling with you know with the pastor who did our wedding and stuff like that, and it was healthy dialogue with someone there to really kind of more so be a mediator in a sense, and also kind of, you know, for us to give us a biblical sense. And I know everybody not necessarily like religious and all that stuff, but for us, like, to give us kind of biblical ties to what we were discussing and stuff like that. But also there were just certain things that came out that, like, you know, that neither of us may have known really about the other person, and more so because they're, you know, the pastor's the one kind of creating dialogue and the one kind of asking the questions, to where it's like, you know, questions that you might not have necessarily asked each other, you know, and so certain things did come out to where it's like,
Did it hurt the relationship?
No. I mean, the things that really kind of came out were more so, no, they weren't like big things, like, you know, so nothing on our end, at least it wasn't nothing major. I mean, but to me, if you are serious about getting married, like when you go through premarital counseling, honestly, that is a pit stop to figure out if you really are ready. I mean, that's really what premarital counseling is for. Like, for that person to advise y'all and pretty much tell you, like, yes, you're ready, no, you're not ready. And of course, like, some people are not going to listen to it, and some people are not going to always be like, this person knows what they're talking about and can tell me if I'm ready to be married or not. But it's also for you to be able to, like, evaluate that yourself and kind of sit back and be like, yo, like, this stuff that I'm hearing ain't what I was thinking, you know what I'm saying? But I honestly, I believe in that. I mean, like, it just makes sense to me. But then, like, during marriage, like, I don't think counseling during marriage is a bad idea at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I also think that sometimes counseling during your marriage does not necessarily always have to be like literally like going to counseling. It could be something as simple as like talking to a couple that's been together for years and like just kind of conversing with them, like but just all like that could be a counseling session. Yeah, that could be a counseling session. But like touching on keeping it fresh, I mean, you do have to, because we get to that space. Like every relationship gets to that space.
Stagnant.
Yeah, where you just get comfortable. And it's not anything against that person, but you get so used to that person, that relationship, to where it's just like you can get to that point to where it's just like it's just regular. And you like for me and my wife, it's been times where it gets to that point where it's just like, it's not,
I got a question.
It's not just a friendship, like what I'm saying.
How do you break the stagnation then?
Keeping it fresh. Date nights, like all kind of stuff.
So you notice how, like, I don't know. So when guys they dating this girl, they probably in the gym, all that, then they get married and it's like ain't no more gym.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So now I'm getting comfortable. So now I got this dad bod. You see what I'm saying? So I got a dad bod.
I got a dad bod year round, but
so like you got this dad bod, and like like you just kind of like you sloppy.
Okay.
And then like when you were single, you was like, okay, well I ain't sloppy. I'm out here. I'm getting my hair cut every week or every 2 weeks. I'm in the gym. I'm working out. I'm making sure that I'm fresh just to get them. And then once you get them, it's like, oh, this is what I've been waiting on.
Yeah.
And
see, I hate.
So in reality, one thing that I read something on Instagram about this couple, but it's expectations and agreements. So what happened was the lady and her husband, she went to sleep. She woke up on a Saturday morning and her husband was gone. She didn't tell him where he didn't tell her where he was going that morning, but he was just gone. So she, naturally she just gonna get pissed. But he didn't know that she wanted him there when she woke up. It didn't matter that he was gone. It's like, when I wake up, I want to wake up to you.
Okay.
So now the expectation is, hey, on any given day, I want to wake up to you every morning. The agreement is, okay, I can do that, or I can't do that. And then that's when you come back to, well, since we're on this subject, this is what I need. You see what I'm saying? So it's expectations and agreements. That's basically what marriage is.
Yeah.
Expectations and agreements.
For time's sake, we'll do a follow-up on that topic, expectations versus agreements. So because we ran a little long, but it was some good information, and we didn't even touch half of the questions that I had. But we're gonna close out with marriage. Is it overrated, Ty?
Nah.
Chris, is marriage overrated?
It can be.
It can be. I don't know, but I'm open for marriage. But I definitely, from what you all have said to me, those are things I've thought and like things I've seen in other marriages. And I personally, want to be to that point where when I'm married, it's for longevity reasons. We could build a storyline, we could work through some things, and it's more not even about taking the selfishness out of it. And hey, we're working towards a common goal, and let's put our effort into it. And that's what I mostly consume myself with probably now. I'm working towards a common goal. And now you can come along and help me get to that point where the goal is obtainable, so marriage can be on the table. But no, marriage is always on the table. But I know that the sacrifice of it, I'm not going to completely sacrifice to the marriage until I know you have brought in completely and you're reaching those goals, trying to reach those goals with me that are common. So,
hey, let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this right here to answer, just to kind of explain the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Of it can be. It's only because of the social aspect of it. So when you look at, is marriage already? No, it is, but it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it's like a double standard almost. You know what I'm saying? So looking socially, yes, it's overrated. Traditionally, in this set of eyes, then
no.
Gotcha.
All right, I got a Sonyaism for y'all. And it kind of goes with marriages, and it's more the social aspect of it. Most people don't understand how things look on the outside versus the inside, or what it actually is. So my Sonyaism for the day is a glowing presence means nothing when the core is rotten.
True.
And there it is. Podcast over. You can actually. We're on Apple Podcasts now. Google Play.
Okay.
I think we're on Spotify.
All right.
We got the original links. We're on the YouTube with the videos. Everything you can subscribe to. Get those numbers up for us. We're on Instagram at the Press Onion Podcast. We're on Facebook, the Press Onion Podcast. Go hit the like button on those things. Send us questions to Durag Zaddy Chronicles. The Press Onion Podcast at gmail.com. We haven't had one person do the Durag Zaddy Chronicles yet. Hopefully we got something coming up. We're gonna do a follow-up show with Todd and Chris, and it's gonna touch on marriage again. We're gonna talk mainly about expectations versus agreements. We'll bring in the sex topic on that show. We'll also bring in how important religion is. How do you divorce your exes? That's a good subject.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
We also will talk about the family involvement.
Cool.
Chris brought up just two different backgrounds. So how do that come into play, like merging those families together to benefit you and the wife? We're going to talk about maybe debt, like how you resolve it, or how you deal with debt in a marriage. And
Tough topics.
the last thing, we're going to talk about, do the romance really die? And that's not even about sex, that's just the romance side of it. Do it really die? And I actually had a question for y'all. It was, is it vital to reach agreements? So we'll talk about that in the next show as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any last words, fellas?
Nah. Follow me on social media. Todd Dobbins Facebook, the fake Todd Dobb, period in between each word. On Instagram, the fake Todd Dobb, just all straight. On Snapchat.
Sure enough. Chris?
Follow me on the gram, Chris Dowdell.
All right.
Chris Dowdell Photography on Facebook.
Sure enough. We didn't even talk about that in the opening. Tell a little about, what you do as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm a photographer of 10 years. Around here, travel photography, all that. So any of the photography needs, I got them.
Sure enough, you do excellent work. I done used them a couple of times in my personal life. So definitely somebody you need to reach out to. Don't matter where you stay. Because I truly believe he would travel for the work if it's worth it. And there it is. This is the Press Onion Podcast, closing out on episode 3.